Rage on that beat, going crazy. Rage on that beat, going crazy.
Bonjour, bienvenue mes amis, bienvenue à la chat de lundi soir de Stadia avec moi, Clive Illenden, votre hôte. Can you tell? Been in France for a week. So that's why I wasn't here last week. I've been sitting around a pool, no video games, no streaming, no Stadia games. Quick test of PUBG on the 4G network, just to test it out. Yeah, it was all right. But obviously, I've been keeping up with all things Stadia on the Twitter sphere. Welcome, chat. How you are? How are you all? Good to see you there, Jerome, Ashes, Holtz, Rock, of course, Alex the Assassin. Welcome, Wolock. And everybody else, welcome to the chat. Lovely to see you as ever. Always a pleasure. As I say, I've been keeping up to date with all things Stadia on the Twitter sphere, the idiot sphere, and some of the big news in gaming, which I, of course, will address. Don't worry. But overall, it's been a fairly quiet week in Stadia land. But that's okay. That's all right. XB, good to see you. That's okay. It can be quiet. It's August, for goodness sake. It's August, traditionally a quiet month in most industries, apart from the holiday industry. Like everybody in Europe, and everybody goes on holiday. As ever, though, there are a few babies, sans lollipops, who complained that the Stadia Weekly blog update last week, I noticed, was a bit disappointing. Completely forgetting, of course, that over the last few weeks we've had Stadia Bomb after Stadia Bomb, new game announcements, free play weekend, new feature announcements, shed loads of Stadia Pro games for August. Plenty to play with. There's been plenty to play with. So let them have a week off, you know? Let Stadia have a week off. They deserve it. And there are still 3 more games coming this month. We've got golf coming this month as well. So, you know, and even then in September, even bigger games, of course. We've got the Hitmen, 2 of the Hitmen games, Marvel, of course, Dead by Daylight, I mean, and loads of other features we know are probably coming as well that month as well. So chill the fuck out and play some of the many Stadia games, you big babies. That's what I say. Anyway. Good use of your members' badges and emotes there, Rock. Very impressive. Let me know what games you've been playing, of course. I haven't really been playing any games. I haven't even played Rock of Ages yet. I've not had a chance. I only got back last night. And had work today, prep for the show. So no time to really have a go at Rock of Ages. Who's been playing Rock of Ages? Let me know what you think about it in the chat. Is it worth rolling out, having a look? Obviously I claimed it. I mean, I claimed that while I was away. Boop. So simple. Anyway, so let me know what you've been playing in the chat. It's always good to see what you guys have been playing. And if you're new, well, an extra special bienvenue to you. Hit subscribe, hit that notification button. Make sure you don't miss out on the best Stadia podcast, vlogcast, call it what you will, in the world. Remember, the most popular doesn't mean the best. Otherwise, Justin Bieber would be considered the greatest musician that ever lived. Think on that. No, consider this Stadia show the show that Stadia content creators watch, you know, like the comedians sort of thing. This is just for the cool kids, yeah? Let's keep it that way, yeah? Just the indie kids. Let's keep it on the low. Yeah? Right then, Stadia, cloud gaming fans. Very good, Zero Games, good. Alex Assassin playing Ember. I don't see much about Ember, Alex. What's it like? Let me know. I know they had a recent update and some additions to Ember, I believe. Jerome saying Assassin's Creed. I need to get back into that. Not played Rock of Ages yet. I know, I need to go back to Assassin's Creed. The trouble is, there's so many games that I leave in limbo and then I have to sort of go back because we keep having this constant supply of games. Stadia, stop releasing games. Interesting old games. Back on it, Samara, exactly. Been off Stadia a couple of days away down south. Oh, absolutely, Dave. Lovely to see you, Dave. Same here. I think I'll be back on it after this show. I always need to have a little kind of come down. So, you know, I might fire up a bit of Rock of Ages. It looks like a game I could just sort of drop into, as it were. But anyway, ladies and gents, mon ami, shall we get on with the news? So, I'm not going to go, you know, there's so many shows that go on in the news, but we'll just cover some of the highlights here. So, first thing up, of course, is spotted in the old wilderness, as it were, some potential new games, which are quite interesting, actually, in my mind. Let's go to it. Boing. Here we go. So, here we are. This is thanks to Jem, of course, the investigative Stadia geezer with his magnifying glass and whatnot. Anyway, he spotted these. Rated on the German rating board here, Hotline Miami and Hotline Miami 2 Wrong Number. Now, these are the sort of, you know, top-down 8-bit style, 80s sort of music and everything. There's a lot of game developers have a real passion for the 80s. I guess it was, you know, probably a golden age or some nostalgic moment in their informative years growing up. So games like this, let's just have a look. It's like Celeste as well, with its sort of I hadn't planned to have a look at this, but we're just going to look here. But it's like Celeste with its sort of whole 8-bit approach. Again, another previously, it's from our friends, of course, from our friends from Devolver, who we know Stadia have a good relationship with. So I think they just go through their library, have an ongoing conversation with Devolver about games they might want to port, or talk to, you know, their relationship with the developers and say, talk to your developers, see, you know, anybody wants to publish a game on Stadia, more the merrier. And Devolver always have, you know, anybody who saw their marketing campaign in the summer, pretty crazy guys. They have some good, interesting games, of course. Serious Sam, I think, being on their label as well. But anyway, so it's got this kind of whole top-down approach, which I think is kind of cool. Not really entirely my cup of tea. I'm a bit of your mainstream gamer, but I know there's a real appetite for these sort of top-down games, and it's got 80s music style to it and all of that. And so, again, popular on the Switch, and we see a lot of that, a lot of sort of Switch style games, indicative of where Stadia is going in terms of its key market, a good, you know, closer to sort of all the interesting family sort of and sort of good quality indie games that you might find on Stadia Switch. But of course, Nintendo Switch, but of course with the ability to play the AAA games that Nintendo Switch can't always sort of play at a certain level. Yeah, Rox is not for me. It's not for everybody's cup of tea. I'm a bit of an old, you know, I'm a bit of a proper casual gamer in the sense that I like those sort of, you know, the popular games, you know. It's my kind of style, but I get what people like this. So anyway, Spotted in the Wild, not official yet, but we know. I don't think there's been an example where a game's been registered for Stadia and it's not ended up on Stadia. There are some we're still waiting for, of course. I get that. I mean, where's SpongeBob? We're waiting for that, aren't we? But other than that, generally, if the games get rated or get in a certificate, whatever country, then, you know, they tend to come on Stadia. So a good sign, not officially announced. Spoiler alert, we can anticipate it being announced very soon, I imagine, on those. So that's the other thing. The other kind of thing in the rumour mill, of course, in the land of rumours, and again, I'm not, take this with a massive pinch of salt, ladies and gentlemen, but here from Rockstar Mag, here, I don't know if you can see this here, but I shall read it to you. Selon nos informations et plus de version PS5, Xbox Series X, Rockstar serait en train de préparer une version Stadia GTA 5 dont l'annonce elle sortira prévue pour les prochaines semaines, mois avant au mot même tombe pour le compteur. Which, of course, as you all know, and I'm sure you're going to tell me, basically means, according to our information, in addition to the PS5 and Xbox Series X versions, Rockstar is in the process of preparing a Stadia version of GTA 5, whose announcement and release would be scheduled for the next weeks / months, before at the same time of the PS5 and Xbox Series X. So that is the rumor that seems, and of course everybody's picked up on it. And often you find in any kind of rumor mill type thing is that you get a kind of reinforcement bubble going on where it becomes sort of news, and yet only one source. And I think I was on the verge when I wrote this of saying this has been the only source. So then other people reporting on other people saying, oh, so this other source said it's coming as well. But that other source is reporting on this original source. So there's only one source, not enough for me to be convinced. And looking at the Twitter handle in concern, it's a fan site, you know, albeit a big fan site, a Rockstar GTA French fan site. So I'm not sure where they got that information from. But earlier this evening, Cloudy with Games produced maybe more evidence. not themselves, but they reported on it here. Again, I think this is from Reddit. And this, thank you, this is Cloudy with a chance of games.com. Earlier this evening, over on Stadia Reddit, Dr. Spaceman Stadia brought to light that as part of a current promotion to get $1 million for GTA Online, that he was successfully able to link his Stadia account as part of the promotion. We've checked this out ourselves, and it does indeed allow you to link your Stadia account as part of the claiming the reward. Not a guarantee, but it would seem odd that you can link your Stadia account to the game. So, yeah, very odd. So maybe that's more evidence. But look, this is a sort of thing that you want to believe it, and so it's easy to think that it's true and it's fact. But we don't know. It is only a rumor, and I'm not convinced by the sources. That's not to say it's not coming, but I think I need something more concrete. When we see like a certification, then I might be convinced. Alex the Assassin says, any news on Destroy All Humans or SpongeBob? No, well, exactly. I'm waiting for SpongeBob. We know they're coming. That's all I'm going to say, Alex. We know they're coming, and more than likely they'll just be dropped. There'll just be an announcement. A September or October games. Both of them. They're due any minute. There's no reason why they're delayed. So I don't think there'll be any great kind of long lead into them being launched. It'll be going, they're available now, or coming next week, or later this week, or something like that, I imagine, for both those titles. We know they're coming, so, on that one, do hold your breath, because they are coming. So that's what I say on that. I'm just quickly checking here to see if there's any update on Twitter. Okay, no people just agreeing with me as ever. Okay, jolly good. Anyway, so there we are. That is the gossip on the old GTA. As I say, we want it to come, and the danger when you want something to happen is that you start believing it more than the evidence suggests you should believe it. That's all I'm going to say on that. Other thing is Baldurs Gate, which we thought, although there were no promises at the time from the studios and the Larian crew, as it were, we thought it might possibly be coming out in August, but he always said, Larian always said maybe, and as it turned out, he was true. I was watching, interestingly enough, for part of this show, researching this show, a presentation that Google Stadia executive producer, a Stadia exec producer, gave about how to pitch your game, and it talked about the planning and the Dunning-Kruger effect. No, the Hofstadter. That's it. The Hofstadter principle. The Hofstadter principle, which is basically when you're planning the time frame to develop a game, people tend to kind of go for the best case scenario, and even the worst case scenario is unlikely to be achieved, and you have to factor in the Hofstadter factor, which basically means think of the latest time that you can deliver it in and then add some more. And clearly that's what's happening with Baldurs Gate. He thought, we'll deliver it in August, but he forgot to apply the Hofstadter factor. Yeah. If anybody's interested in this talk anyway about game development for Stadia, anyway, the Hofstadter factor, which means basically it's not going to come then, it's going to come later. And I think we will have an announcement more than likely tomorrow at this presentation. Early access, well, it says here, you fool, early access release date reveal. So we will know tomorrow at this little presentation with Jeff Keighley, Christopher Perkins, oh no, that's different. Chris Perkins, Sven Vink and the Larian crew, and that is at 10 a.m. Pacific time, so 19 hours from now. So for us Brits, it's in the evening, and for those anticipating, excited about Baldurs Gate, more news in approximately 19 hours 38 minutes. Ooh, can't wait. Can't wait, my friends, can't wait. Not my cup of tea, but I'm curious about it. That's the thing. I wouldn't normally be interested in this game, but Stadia's got me interested in games I wouldn't normally be interested in, oddly enough. So now I'm sort of open. I'm open-minded to many sort of games. And of course, other big rumours there is that Apple have patented a system for cloud gaming. Interesting. So a patent was discovered by an Apple blog or vlog for cloud gaming using 5G. I'm not exactly sure of the mechanics behind it, but it's just interesting that Apple are patenting something specifically related to cloud gaming, given, of course, all that's going on with XCloud, Xbox, the Apple Store, Epic, the Apple Store, and Stadia not being on Apple as well, and all that in terms of being able to play it on your iOS systems and platforms, etc., and all of that. It's interesting, but it is no surprise. We go back in history a little bit, which I'm going to refer to this article a couple of times because there's a couple of interesting pieces in here which we've gone across before, but I think people have forgotten. And this is from a thing called Protocol blog here, and this was way back in no, not thank you today. This is way back in February. Okay, so this was written way back in February, and there's been a number of quotes from this. But basically, this article really is saying why big tech is betting big on gaming in 2020. And it talks about Amazon, which we know with the Project Tempo and their cloud, because obviously they have big cloud, so back-end computing, all that kind of stuff, we know that. But here, Apple, this is the interesting thing. So this is way back in February. This is not new news, everybody. But here, despite or perhaps working, and it's quite interesting little piece here about Apple and their approach to game and gaming in general. Despite or perhaps of working at Atari before co-founding Apple, Steve Jobs hated video games. And for a long time it showed. For decades, Apple seemed to discourage or at best grudgingly tolerate game development on its desktop computers, almost entirely ceding the PC game market to DOS and Windows. Back in the day, who remembers DOS? So there is deep irony to the fact that video games are now one of Apple's most important financial drivers, generating more than 80% of total revenue of the company's mobile app store. Therein may be another clue as to the reluctance of Apple allowing people to play games via an app that they don't earn any money from it, and thus take away from people playing, albeit mobile games, via their app store. 80% of their total revenue on the company's mobile app store comes from casual gaming, mobile gaming. So then if you have apps where people can go, actually I can play even better games or more variety of games, then you can see why it might have an impact on Apple, or that they're bothered about it. More than 1 billion people play games on iPhone and iPad. 1 billion people. Now, yeah, sure, it's not all going to be that, all those billion people like playing Candy Crush. That doesn't mean necessarily they want to play PUBG. It's a different demographic, but there is, in the Venn diagram of those sort of gaming, there is a bit in the middle. There is a bit in the middle, and if you're talking about a billion, a bit in the middle is a big bit of a billion. 1 billion people play games on iPhone and iPad, according to Apple executives, making iOS by far the world's most popular video game platform. Let's let that sink in for a minute. iOS is by far the world's most popular video game platform. So equally there, you can see the risk that in the game that Epic is playing here. It is a massive platform. It is really important for Stadia. We know that. It is really important for XCloud. We know that. And it is really important for Epic. Apple does not even make games itself, and yet the company generates more revenue from them, $10 billion annually, than any company besides Tencent, Sony and Microsoft. Tencent, of course, are heavily invested in Epic. Yeah. Apple is an extraordinary piece of the global game market that doesn't get much attention, said Ben Schachter, a technology analyst formerly at Macquarie and UBS. Apple is arguably the world's largest video game distributor, and the App Store is dominant in a way that no other platform has ever been. This is why it's important, and this is why you can see, they've sort of dabbled in the games. So last September they launched their Apple Arcade, which is just flashy, kid-friendly games. Access to more than 100 mostly kid-friendly games that do not include the pay-to-win microtransactions that plague most mobile games. So there we go. It's an interesting article, I think, as I say, way back in February, that may feed into some of the issues around why there seems to be this sort of battle going on between Apple and everybody else in terms of cloud gaming and things like that. So let's discuss this whole Epic, Xbox, Apple, Google row. So you'll know the recent history, of course, over the last week. Safe to say, basically, in a nutshell, Epic goaded Apple into kicking them off the App Store, which Apple duly obliged, playing into the marketing and lawsuit that Epic had already lined up, ready, waiting to roll out. But here's the latest. If you've been paying attention, this is hot news, still happening here. Let me just find the thing. So in the last sort of hour or so, a couple of hours, Apple has informed Epic Games that it will terminate all their developer accounts and cut Epic off. So this is we're not just talking Fortnite here. It's every other kind of Epic enterprise that they've got going on the Apple and iOS and Mac. They will cut off iOS and Mac development tools on August 28th, according to a new statement. So this is in Digital Trends. Ongoing war between Epic Games and Apple just became more heated. According to a statement from Epic, Apple plans to cut the company's access to iOS and Mac development tools, which could have major implications for the Unreal Engine. This is big. This is a big move by Apple. In the tweet announcing legal action, an Epic Games Twitter account states, Apple removed Fortnite from the App Store and has confirmed Epic that on Friday, August 28, Apple will terminate all our developer accounts and cut Epic off from iOS and Mac development tools. So Epic have now responded as well with another lawsuit. So they have responded by filing a temporary restraining order. Let's get legal, guys. Let's get legal. Let's close some of that. Oh, there we go. Okay, this is anybody familiar with court forms or things that have been filed? I once appeared on one of these. There's something a bit scary when you see your name in these things. I've been on these, and it was filed in, I think, California. It's quite scary when you see your name on one of these things. It was just a sort of a point of principle. So basically they were demanding that I would have to turn up to this court case, and then our lawyers saying that'd be ridiculous because you haven't got any legs to stand on anyway, so it'd be pointless him coming over. And of course, the motion was completely dismissed. But anyway, that's by the by. That's more sort of my work history, as it were. Anyway, the key thing here is, so Epic have basically filed this restraining order, basically saying that it is a temporary restraining order. They've asked for a temporary restraining order from them being basically kicked off the iOS without further notice, because Epic is likely to suffer irreparable harm. 2, that Epic is likely to succeed on the merits of its claim. So they're saying they'll, put the restraining order in so they can't get kicked off on the basis that they will suffer harm, and B, they will likely succeed in dismissing that claim, and therefore the harm would be basically they'd be harmed for no reason whatsoever. And they're relying on the Sherman Act, which of course you'll know the Sherman Act from about 1894, I think, which is basically the major act about competition law and all that kind of stuff. So they're quoting on that, and the balance of equity tips sharply in Epic's favor, i.e. in terms of the Sherman Act. They're claiming this is anti-competitive, and it tips towards Epic on that basis, and that obviously it's in the public interest to support this motion. So this is Epic's counterclaim to Apple's threat of taking away all the toys, all the development toys. So all the things that, this is not just Fortnite stuff, but all of Epic's development access tools they have on iOS will be denied them on August 28th, unless they're successful in getting a restraining order against Apple. There you go. There's a little quick lesson in law for you. A few more people in the chat. Hello there, 64. Carl, welcome. Rick, welcome. Everybody. But there we go. So this whole court battle is sort of suit against suit, lawsuit being filed against each other, and no doubt there'll be more counterclaims and stuff like this. You can bet on that. But here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen. Here is the thing. It's not about lawsuits. Yeah. What Epic is doing here is not about lawsuits. The fact that they goaded Apple into getting kicked off, which is a high-risk strategy, getting themselves kicked off, basically going to Apple and saying, I dare you. Go on then. I dare you. Kick us off. Go on. Just you try. Go on, kick us off. On the basis they knew they'd get kicked off. And they had that amazing Apple Macintosh spoof ad that that they ran, which was just frame for frame spot on with the 1980s Macintosh ad that Apple did. Brilliant. They had that lined up. They had the lawsuit lined up, ready to file. So they knew exactly what they were doing. So this is not about the lawsuits. The lawsuits are the weapons, yeah? This is about hearts and minds. Epic are banking on winning the hearts and minds of the gaming community, because that's what helps persuade people in business. Not always the court cases, because you can settle court cases, deal with court cases. In America especially, very litigious. They're often used to leverage position, and the lawyers are constantly filing and counterfiling, and they're all negotiation tactics to sort of support the business strategy going on. But Epic have got this aggressive business strategy, and part of that is winning the hearts and minds, as I said, the gaming community and the general public here. And lawsuits are just the bargaining position, the weapons of war, if you like, as I said. If enough hearts and minds are won over, that shifts political will, and that brings attention to the courts, whether it's in the European court or the US wanting to look at the competition law when it suits them, of course. So one example is eventually what happens is customers demand, once they've had a taste of something, they might demand change. If you remember Napster, if we think about it, Napster, which legitimized digital music, but only after they had sort of initially challenged the music industry by exploiting peer-to-peer music sharing, which whilst they were in the wrong, or they were found to be in the wrong, it made people go, well, you know what, I quite like the concept of sharing or having my music in a digital form. That's quite cool, I quite like that. So the music industry had to listen and had to adjust. TV's the same. It's the old ways of doing things, the accepted old age business models. Eventually they have to change due to market pressures and consumer demand, often by somebody who's sort of pioneered or pushed those laws or tried to change stuff. In television, about 10-15 years ago, or 10 back, what year are we in? Yeah, about 10 years ago, the British television companies thought, actually more and more people are going to be watching television online. Okay, the BBC were working on the iPlayer. It was a pioneering system. It was the best system for streaming, and many of the UK broadcasters and global broadcasters have used that same streaming technology that was developed by BBC iPlayer. But soon after the BBC iPlayer, the TV industry in the UK realised that streaming could be a thing of the future. And so they got together and said, okay, what if we got together and built a streaming box in which you could stream the main channels? We'll all work together. It'll be a consortium. It'll be BBC, it'll be ITV, it'll be Channel 4, it'll be Channel 5, and then you can, instead of just watching telly, you can stream the telly, because people want to stream stuff. That will be the future. And the authorities in this country, Ofcom, said, no. That sounds like it's going to stifle competition. And it never got off the ground. And a vacuum was created because people started getting a taste for streaming and then on demand. And then Netflix came in and people thought, this is quite cool. And that vacuum was filled by Netflix. And now Netflix share in the UK is massive. And all the other, the sort of indigenous broadcasters, the BBCs, the ITVs, are now playing catch up with Netflix. A foreign invader, if you like, because they were prevented from doing that by the broadcasting authorities, of getting together and providing a streaming service. And the BBC itself and the iPlayer, we've always been restricted to just 30 days. It was always considered a catch-up service. But we realised at the BBC that people don't watch telly as a catch-up service anymore. People are used to Netflix. They want box sets. They want the content to be on there for 12 months. So we had to go back to the broadcasting authorities in the country and said, look, I know you've allowed us 30 days catch-up, but it frustrates customers. Customers don't want it because they want a whole box set. They want all 6 episodes, and we can't do that. Can we have a year, please? And the industry board said, oh dear, you're taking more rights. And we had to convince them, we're going, but it will benefit you. Because what we found, it won't have a detrimental effect on your sales. It actually promotes your programs. It promotes brand awareness. If people can watch things or find things or have box sets, it promotes brand awareness of that product. And the prime example of that, of course, on Netflix is Friends. You would have thought Friends was rinsed to death. There's ad nauseum repeats on Channel 5 here and have been for years, and probably the same across the world. And yet Netflix gets Friends, starts showing it. It's one of the most popular things on Netflix, and a whole new generation has discovered Friends. So rather than cut into existing sales and stuff, it can help promote and spread that brand to a whole new audience. And the same could be true of games as well. But it takes a while for people who are stuck in their ways and their business models to sort of change. And often that change comes from consumer demand once they've had a taste. And once you take that and never had that taste and you take it away, this is what Epic is planning. This is what Epic is doing. They knew they would get kicked off iOS. They did it on purpose so that people go, oh, but I liked having Fortnite on my iPad. I liked having Fortnite on my iOS. And now I don't have it. And now I'm angry. And now I'm upset. Whose fault is it? It's Apple. Ooh, Apple, I hate you. Ooh. This is what Epic is doing. It's about hearts and minds. Hearts and minds. It's weird to think, I think, that platforms like Apple and Google were once those pioneers of new business models. And now those business models are being challenged or being shown up for not being fit for purpose. So I think this game streaming has sort of demonstrated, or the way that revenue is earned, especially on free-to-play games, has demonstrated that the business model that Apple and Google to a certain degree have created with their App Store and taking their 30% may not be fit for purpose. I think it has to be adapted. Now, I think Google are more likely to adapt the business model, and there are different ways of doing it. But that business model, rather than just being a straight 30%, 30 cents on the dollar, a straight 30% of your revenue, there are slightly more sophisticated ways that you could do it to adjust to the new business sort of models that gaming as a service presents itself. Fortnite is a gaming as a service. That's what it is. And that's how it makes money. And we've seen Apex Legends and loads of other games, Hyperscape, they're all doing it because it makes a lot of money. So the business models have to adapt and the systems have to adapt. So it's just quite interesting from that point of view. Anyway, welcome Nix, we go hard. Welcome, my friend. Welcome to the Stadia Monday Night Chat. Anyway, that's that. Now I'm going to go on a rant. That wasn't the rant. That was your lecture. That was your informing. Yeah, that was your education. That was your informing. Now it's rant time, ladies and gentlemen. I'm revving up now. I'm revving up. Here we go. So I've seen some interesting articles about Xbox Game Pass and the XCloud and the combination of it, as it were. And one thing that keeps coming up, I say keeps coming up, I've read it in two articles from major tech journals, The Verge and Tom's Guide, and the same theme cropped up, which is not surprising, and I'll come to it why it's not. Because the reason it's come up, it's also because it's one of the key marketing messages that Xbox are trying to get across. So it's obviously working because I'm seeing that same message regurgitated in key, as I say, key tech blogs. And basically the message is how cool is the combination of Xbox Game Pass and XCloud is. How cool it is, basically the Ultimate Games Pass. How cool that is, because, hey, get this for originality. Now it allows you to play, this is me paraphrasing what the articles are saying, now it allows you to play your favourite, brackets, Xbox games across multiple devices, and hence is the future of gaming. Wow. Imagine that. Imagine that. Something that allows you to play your favourite games across multiple devices thanks to the power of the cloud. Ooh, what a brilliant idea. If only other companies had come up with that. Hello, Stadia. This is the article I'm talking about, ladies and gentlemen. We're gonna rip this baby apart. Marshall Honoroff here. Xbox Game Pass streaming is the future of gaming. Almost. So basically here, call it Project XCloud, call it Xbox Game Pass for Android. Game Pass for Android, it's just Games Pass, mate. Or Xbox Cloud Gaming, whatever you want to call it. Microsoft's answer to technology like PlayStation Now, Google Stadia, and Nvidia GeForce Now is finally here. Goes on, it explains what it is. Better still, Xbox Games Pass Ultimate isn't a streaming or bus platform like Stadia. Okay. So if you've got powerful enough hardware, such as an Xbox One or a gaming PC, you can simply download the games and take full advantage of your own equipment. Great! In theory, Xbox Games Pass with Project XCloud is the best of both worlds and a blueprint of how game downloads and streaming can work hand in hand in the not so distant future. So he's still got one foot in the world of downloads. Yeah, this is what he's saying is brilliant. So he talks about the functionality and how it works, what works. And what he talks about here, and what I also saw in The Verge, is how he could play a game on his Xbox One. Wow. And then go and play it on using XCloud and stream it and still pick up where he left off and still have it cross-saved to the game he was playing, so Gears 5, and now play Gears 5, the same Gears 5 that he was playing on his Xbox. He can now play it on his Android phone. Amazing. And then later he can also play it on his gaming PC, and it's all cross-saved, so he can basically play his game on multiple devices. Isn't that amazing? And there are 100 games from which to choose from right now. Not that many. Stadia's catching up. When everything is running at full capacity, Microsoft Games Pass Ultimate with Project XCloud feels like a huge step forward for cross-platform gaming. Like it's never happened before. During my tests, I had the best results with A Plague Tale Innocence, partly because it's not the most graphically demanding game, and partially because it's available with cross-save functionality on Xbox One and the Games Pass app. This is what he's raving about. This is the future of gaming, yeah? Because there's cross-save functionality on his Xbox One and the Game Pass app. It's the same ecosystem. Of course it should be. It'd be ridiculous if you couldn't do that. Anyway, it goes on here, and this is my favourite bit here. So it does say Android app is laggy, sometimes unresponsive. Even on powerful systems, there's always a little stuttering while streaming games, regardless of how strong your connection may be. Yeah, so the Game Pass app itself, which is not great on Android, Xbox or PC. Browsing and searching for games is a bit of a crapshoot. There's no easy way to tell whether your game you want to play is available on any platform other than one you're currently using. So all this amazing stuff, it sort of falls down in the UI, and the fact that some games are on the PC Games Pass, some are on Xbox. So on your Xbox console Game Pass might not be on the Xbox game. So your PC Games Pass might not be the same games there. Might not be on your Android, your XCloud. Yeah. So there could be a game that is not on either of the platforms, as it were. If that makes sense. Or one game is on one platform, not on the other. So there are some games basically you can't play on all three systems within the Xbox ecosystem. Yeah. So not quite as brilliant he was making out at the beginning, and he's even saying that. Saying the Android app is laggy, sometimes unresponsive. The PC app is lightweight, a bit of a mess, dropping connection frequently while downloading games. This is about downloads and not restarting the downloads until prompted. Exactly, so there's a problem with downloads. Anyway, it's my favourite bit. This bit is my favourite bit, ladies and gentlemen. This is my favourite bit. Finally, I also wish that Xbox Games Pass on all three systems gave you a little more control over when to stream and when to download. At present, you need to download games on PC and Xbox, and you need to stream directly from the cloud on a tablet. I'd like to have the option to stream from a local Xbox to a tablet, as you can do on PC. I'd also like an option to stream games to low-powered PCs, or even an Xbox, to help ease the long installation process, if nothing else. I wonder if there is a system out there that allows you to play your favourite game on the PC, on your telly, and on your Android PC, so your Android phone, and cross-save across all the 3 different versions. And consistently, all the games available on this service were across all the different, your TV, your PC, and your phone. If only there was a system that did that. And this poor bloke, he doesn't like the installation process. If you could do all that without having to install the games, imagine if there was a service like that. Yeah, that truly would be, ladies and gentlemen, let's go to the top. That truly would be the future of gaming. If only there was such a thing. What a freaking idiot. This guy's a tech writer. But these tech writers really love the concept, and we've seen it before. The concept of being able to stream your Xbox games and play them on your mobile. What a brilliant idea. Like, they love it. There's a real favoritism towards, and it's not just me being Stadia fanboy. I have Xbox. I love Xbox. I'm an Xbox guy, I have Ultimate Games Pass. I'm not complaining. I don't play on my Android phone because there's no games I really want to play on my Android phone that I can't play on my Xbox, on the TV, or even on this screen, although not PC, is where my PC is situated, so it feels like I'm playing on the PC. But anyway, the point is, he raves about this amazing marriage of, this perfect marriage, being able to jump from your Xbox console, play the game on your PC, play your game on your mobile phone, your Android mobile phone. But there's some problems, like not all the game, you can't do that on all the games within the ecosystem. Can with Stadia. You have to download some of the games, which are a pain in the butt. Don't have to do that with Stadia. Xbox, Project XCloud's a bit laggy. It's not with Stadia. But it's just interesting how, and this is to say, the other article is in The Verge, and somebody put, in fact, Aaron Greenberg retweeted it, and it had a very similar kind of, is this the future of gaming, this combination, being able to, play across all your different platforms. You play on your PC, play on your mobile phone. And obviously that's where XCloud and Xbox is going. We know that. As I say, there was a similar piece in The Verge, was retweeted by Aaron Greenberg, the Xbox marketing chief. We all know him. And our friend Tom, what's his name? Can't remember his name now, forgive me, had also written, along with other tech journos, that the Xbox strategy is not all about. So the other theme that's coming out here is that as we come into the next generation of consoles, the Xbox strategy is not about the Xbox Series X. I've been saying this for a long time, and I'll tell you why. It's about the Xbox Games Pass with XCloud. It's about being able to play the Xbox games on different platforms, and if anything, this could hobble the Xbox Series X. But this is not new. Phil Spencer was talking about this months ago, and how to him, if you remember this, remember back in the day, he was saying it was Stadia were the people they were competing with in the future. So we go back to my article from Protocol, which was quoted by 9 to 5. It's a handy. This is doubled up this here. Let's go back to Facebook, Google. We know all that. Bear in mind, this is February, so they talk about Google having a small library and blah, blah, blah. But here, even though the big strategic difference is that this is actually Phil Harrison talking here about Google way back in January, February time. The big strategic difference is over the next few months, you'll be able to experience Stadia for free. That's a big thing. Anyway, here. This is the other Phil Spencer saying he doesn't consider Sony and Nintendo his main competition anymore, largely because neither of those Japanese company owns its own top-end global cloud infrastructure akin to Microsoft's Azure platform. One of Microsoft's main selling points for the new Xbox will be the integration with XCloud technology, which is meant to allow you to play the same game across a console, a desktop PC and mobile device. When you talk about Nintendo and Sony, we have a ton of respect for them, but we see Amazon and Google as the main competitors going forward. Remember, this article was from February earlier in the year, and so all this stuff from Tom, what's his name, from The Verge or whatever, is not new. Yeah, that Xbox Series X is not the central point of Xbox at the moment. It's about this ecosystem being able to play in different things. Now, what all these articles, and this is my big point here, what all these articles talking about what a great strategy Xbox are employing overlook one fundamental issue that no other cloud gaming service can provide right now, apart from one, including XCloud, including GeForce Now, including the Shadow PC, the PS equivalent. Not that I ever really, I haven't experienced it, but I don't really. It's not in the game. Anyway, that's beside the point. All the cloud gaming services have or offer at the moment that are out there, they offer one key functionality, and that is the ability to play existing games. Yeah, that's the key thing. Existing games via the cloud. Existing games here is the key thing. Games built on an old technology. Games built with the limitations of the origin platform, a PC or a console. And all the limitations that hardware has, the processor speed, the memory, the basic tech that in principle has not changed other than being bigger and faster. But developing for those platforms has not changed for 20 years. The principle is the same. You are limited to the spec. And all those cloud services I mentioned before, all they can do is play those games that are developed for a separate platform, a PC platform or a console platform. Stadia is different. It's in its initial stage right now, and just like those other platforms or services, at the moment it's just a way of delivering pre-existing games built with the old hardware in mind, mostly over the cloud. Yeah, that's what it's doing. It's getting its games library together. That's all it's doing. It's just like GeForce Now, just like XCloud, all of that. Most of them are existing games that have been developed for or on existing PC or console technology. But it's the next stage for Stadia that is critically different. Because Stadia has been built not just as a cloud gaming delivery service, but as a cloud gaming platform from the ground up, so that games can be built specifically for that cloud gaming platform. Games that utilize the power of the cloud in their processing, multiple blades using machine intelligence to create a platform more powerful than even your top-end gaming PC. Development tools are built into the Stadia system as a platform to develop specifically for, not just to port to. Now, I recognize that people and tech journos cannot see much further than their nose or the PR sheet that's been plonked in front of them. But I don't see anyone talking about the future of cloud gaming as a platform to develop for. When I say not anybody, there are people within the Stadia community I've seen talking about it. I know Rock's talked about it. Sonny of Cloud Gaming X did a great video you should watch where he talks about how excited he is about games that will be developed specifically for the Stadia platform. But generally the tech journos are not talking about this. They're not looking into the future and seeing actually While all these others are just delivering games that have been developed for PC or existing consoles, Stadia is a gaming system that will be developed specifically for and can do stuff that no other platform can do. And that's the exciting thing. The Stadia have talked about this. They talked about it when they were announced way back in March 2019. They talked about it at GDC earlier this year, or the Stadia equivalent of GDC earlier this year. And if you check out the pages of the development pages, so this is if you want to, you're a games developer and you want to develop for Stadia, go to this bit here, Stadia Dev, and they talk about it here. Built to evolve right alongside your game, our custom hardware will be periodically upgraded alongside the software and services, so you can focus on realizing your creative vision, not the constraints of traditional platforms. That's what I just said. Not the constraints of traditional platforms. Next-gen software optimized for the cloud. Stadia is built on an open source foundation and next-generation tools using Vulkan, cross-platform graphics and computing APIs, so you can optimize for cloud-native gaming. There's that thing, cloud-native gaming. None of this is new, but it's just worth remembering that we are just in the initial stage of Stadia proving its tech, getting a games library together. It's next year, after the development phase for games that are being developed specifically for the platform, we'll really see the power of Stadia. So that's, as I say, this is the general overview they give to developers interested in developing specifically for Stadia. And it's not just the blades and all that kind of stuff. We know that Google have loads and loads of experience in technology in machine learning, artificial intelligence, speech to text, and all of that, which they can draw on and incorporate into their games. Interesting enough, I read an article today about it was about Microsoft actually, and it was about Microsoft Flight Simulator and how in developing Microsoft Flight Simulator, the new version, they drew on other tools that existed in the Microsoft world. So not just the gaming tools, they drew on Bing Maps and various photo resources and stuff like that to create a realistic world. And it was an example, again, this article was saying how it's the future of game development when a company uses all its resources rather than just its game development section. What a brilliant idea. Again, I was thinking, hello, Google. So Google could do that. They could develop a world based on Google Maps or Google Earth. They could draw on that technology. But much more than that, they can draw on all the stuff that they use to power Google Home Assistant, sitting over there, keeps butting in, and machine learning. And there was a piece on the Stadia development site here about creating a game AI using mostly English. So this is how you interact with game AI. Normally, traditionally, you have to put in all the responses. Yeah, you'd have to put in all the worded responses. You meet an AI character in a game and you maybe have 3 choices. So say Assassin's Creed, you've got about 3 responses, and then from those 3 responses there is a stock response that is already pre-programmed in to the game that your AI character will then say to you, and it will say the same thing every time. This little piece here is about how using AI it can respond in a kind of almost natural way, and so you can almost ask not almost anything, but you don't have to program in every response. It works out the response most suitable to the choice that you've made. This is a really basic demo. Let me just so this is a little very basic demo that they've done here, where she just puts in basic phrases and responses, and then the AI character responds to what's been asked and then tries to make sense of it and then responds intelligently. And this is very basic version, as I say, using machine learning. It's quite cool little video, and if you go to the article, it is quite cool. But not only that, there's also a little game that Google have, I couldn't quite fathom it out here. To demonstrate this, here it is. It's called The Mystery of the Three Bots. And again, it's available on the site. And again, it's just a demonstration, a very basic demonstration of using a machine learning model inside a web application. So this is small enough kind of programming to fit within a web application. And the idea is that you ask these three bots. So there's a murder, and what you need to crack by asking these bots is who stole the diamond, what room's it hidden in, and what container is in. So basically you can ask almost any question and then the bots respond. So let's just put who was at dinner, right? And then it goes away and it thinks, this particular butler, thinking, and here we are. So I didn't pre-select a question or phrase here, but here we are. Colonel Gold left, but the bot has worked out what is the best answer to my particular question. It could have been anything. Colonel Gold left dinner first during the soup course. He apparently called the police about the missing diamonds a few minutes later. Oh, I didn't know that bit last time I did this. That's interesting. Anyway, you're going to ask each of the bots different questions in a kind of Cluedo type way, and then the idea is you're meant to solve the mystery. It's just a very, very simple demonstration of machine learning and AI, which is just one of many, many, many tools that Google as a company has, that Stadia can draw on to make games in a way that use machine learning and cloud gaming in a way that just programming for a console or programming for a PC is too limited to do. And that is the exciting thing about Stadia, and Stadia being a cloud gaming platform built from the ground up specifically to build games for, and not just to service or port existing games built and designed for old technology. That old idea of, like Doom back in the day, or any game basically where you suddenly go into a lift or run down a long corridor, is because they're feeding in the loading in the next scene in the background. And that, until very recently, has been the case for years and years and years in gaming. You won't have that problem going forward, and it's something, the loading times is something that they promised to eliminate on the PS5 and the Xbox Series X and stuff. But that kind of idea of having to program a factor in a corridor or a lift so you can load in the next thing, again on a very simple level. I mean, again, this is me thinking simplistically, not from a complex point of view, is what cloud gaming can get around and deal with and solve very straightforwardly. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. A bit of a rant, a bit of an education. This is why I'm excited about Stadia, because it's how amazing, we know how amazing the tech is now. It works. We know that. It gives you a console-like experience over the cloud. We know that. Better than any other cloud service, in my opinion and my experience, better than any other cloud service out there anyway. So we know it works. That's just the basics, and it works the best. And when we see games built for the platform that do what no other console or PC game can do, the 1,000-player BR, which admittedly is lacking in imagination, but is a simple concept to grasp, I think the reality will be something that we haven't thought of, or beyond my ken, as it were, and it'll be a real wow moment. So if you want to know what the future of gaming is, It is, and it is right now, and it will be Stadia. That's it. That is the future of gaming, ladies and gentlemen. Anyway, let's have a little chat there. Just some things that I kind of came across today and thought I'd talk about, because I saw these articles about XCloud and the future of gaming and being able to play on different platforms. Let me know what you think there. Actually, 100% the main difference. It's hard to explain to people. It's just a delivery method. It isn't just a delivery method. It's entirely new platform. Exactly, because it's hard to explain any new technology to people until they sort of see it. The idea when Google first said, "Oh, we'll do, streaming, cloud gaming, streaming the game from the cloud." People are like, "Well, that's ridiculous. The latency would be ridiculous. That's impossible. It can't be done. What's the point? Waste of time. It's impossible. Can't be done." There is no game that I've played on Stadia that I ever thought or even noticed any perceivable lag or latency. Am I Shroud playing on a £3,000 gaming PC? Or am I a member of London Spitfire playing a competition in Overwatch? No. Am I a casual gamer brought up on playing games on his Xbox for years and years, for the last 5 years, and then swap into Stadia? And have I noticed any difference? No, I haven't noticed any difference between the two. So what people said, dismissed the concept, the idea, before they even gave it a chance. Stadia proved right from the get-go, and that, as we all know, most of you here, they proved that from the get-go. The technology works. Unfortunately, people are not buying into it. Now, we're hoping they'll buy into it with XCloud, ironically enough, although it's not a great example of the format. If anything, GeForce, I think, is better in my experience. And although I haven't tested Shadow PC in a long time, when I did test it, it was inconsistent, but when it worked really well. But none of them are on a par with Stadia, delivering that quality of gaming. And that's the key thing. So once people have got over the concept and actually see, and as many people we see anecdotally, we see people go, "Oh, I just got Stadia, it's amazing." There's something quite actually nice about people going, "It's amazing, I thought it was rubbish. It's amazing." Yeah. It's not for everybody, but there you go. But yeah, definitely the exciting thing is all the tools that cloud processing allows cloud gaming to do, and all the not just the tools for the platform, but also the knowledge and information that Google already have in terms of AI, machine learning, and all those things, and all the knowledge databases they have, the Google Worlds, so the Google Earth, Google Maps, all of that, and they can just draw on the knowledge databases, everything that can feed into the game via the cloud. It's scary, as Jerome says. Yeah, it's not scary, it's fun. That's the key thing. It's a fun time to have. Well, there we are, ladies and gentlemen. Nick says we won't. These fanboys are a bunch of sheep. Yeah, they are, Nicks. We go hard. They won't give Stadia credit. Of course they won't. Hello, Christopher. How are you? Wolock's loving it. Yeah, thank you, Wolock. Ashes to Ashes. The whole article sounds like I wish there was something like Stadia, but I don't want to use Stadia. Yeah, it's like my son was watching on the plane yesterday. He was watching Minions, the movie, and in it there's a little Kevin, and I think the Minions are asking the other Minions who wants to come with us on this epic adventure, and little Kevin's going me, and the guy doesn't want. He's anybody, me, anybody, but he's just refused to acknowledge he's there, and that's what people are like. It's like, wow, Yeah, what, XCloud, you can play on the mobile phone, but, you know, and on my console and all this. Yeah, you can do it on Stadia. What, if only I could do all these things, you can do it on Stadia. Yeah, no, that'd be amazing. Hello? It's like, yeah, they're blind to it. They're fools. Anyway, what's happening? Mr. Bigger, how are you? CNAS, lovely to see you. But yeah, exactly. That would be epic, yes. I want that. Exactly, incredible. Yeah, but Jerome's saying Epic don't want to pay Apple and Google 30% and then sell straight to customers 30% off. Exactly. I think, you know, I think Epic's business model, I think they're reluctant to sort of, you know, they're being greedy as well. It's not, you know, they're not the good guys really. They're sort of, it's all relative, isn't it? They're playing the good guys, but their business model is an interesting business model in terms of, you know, they don't sell the game, they just sell stuff within the game, and so their view is, why should anybody get any money from that, you know? But a games as a service is clearly a popular business strategy. Have we seen of all these free-to-play games, the Apex Legends, the Hyperscape, all that kind of stuff. Because Epic have shown you take that risk, give the game away, and then charge for stuff in it. It kind of works. I mean, it's been worked for gaming apps on mobile phones for a long time anyway. Get the free version and then upgrade your Candy Crush, all these extra things you can get for it. It's yeah. And as we said earlier, one of the biggest money-maker things for Apple, actually. So you can see why they want a share of that. But I just think that the business model of the App Store needs to adapt to these different ways of generating revenue. That's my key thing on that. And it will, as people demand it, and that's the key thing. People get a taste of something, then you take it away, and then they get upset. And the business model has to adapt accordingly, because people want that thing back. They want their lollipops back, please. Anyway, there we are, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you found it fun. I hope you enjoyed the music in the background, which is courtesy of Harris Heller, a YouTuber that I watch, but also creates free music for streamers, etc. I thought it'd give more of a radio show feel to it anyway. I hope you enjoyed the show. I really appreciate everybody's come here today. I was a bit sort of needed the motivation to sort of get going again today after, you know what it's like after a holiday, you know, it's like, oh, I've got to go back into my exercise routine, which I haven't done today, got to write a script to do all this today, but I'm glad. I feel like I was buzzing today. I'm glad I did this. I'm glad you've been in the audience today watching that. I really appreciate it. It means a lot. Every Monday night, you guys and girls come here, much appreciated. Have a great evening, afternoon, wherever you are. I will be back tomorrow night over on the Generation X Retro Gaming Club, hope to rock an eye, with another great show, gaming for old gits, as it were. So look out for that. And later in the week, I'll be back streaming as Lord Kensal of Stadia over on the Lord Kensal of Stadia. If you're not already subscribed to Lord Kensal of Stadia, please make sure you subscribe. And once again, thank you for listening to my rant and little lectures, informing you, educating you, and entertaining you. As ever, have a great night, evening, afternoon, and I'll see you very, very soon. Goodbye.
Rage on that beat, going crazy.